Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nest Network, where we are here to definitely nurture, equip, stretch, teach, and transform your lives through deep dives, discussions, and debates. Maybe. I am Sarah Katina, and I am definitely here with my wonderful co hosts. Introduce yourselves. Go ahead, Ashley on and Derek. They are here definitely to
Oh,
help
okay.
share.
Here we go. See, how
Yeah,
come they
there we
not
go.
letting me
There we
be
go.
great? How come they not letting me be great? Okay. Well, how is everybody doing here today? It's good to be in the building. It's good to be in the building. And so, yeah, Ashley Schuler here, and love being with Tarek and Derek. What's going on, Derek? All right.
I
Okay.
see the
I see.
weekly.
I see. Okay. He gonna come through in a minute. That's all right. Um, well, we got a bit we got an interesting topic here today, but last week, if you joined us, we were talking about shortcuts to your calling. And so, what's interesting about that discussion is that, truth be told, like when we were talking about this behind the scenes and we were talking about the AI piece, at first I was like, y'all, are we going to be sitting here and talking about how many apps that we need to be able to download, and everything. But Derek, walk us through, sort of what were some of our final points that we were talking about.
The whole thing is with technology, and there's just so many things. All right, we're inundated for starters, but the new hotness is Chat GPT, right? And so everybody's all about it. And we looked at a case study about this particular attorney who used Chat GPT to help him draft up some information and arguments for his court case, only to realize that Chat GPT had fabricated all of the material, and of course all the fallout that came with that. And so we talked about the importance of, yes, you can lean on technology, but you still need to do your due diligence and be professional and vet information, no matter what the source. I don't care how shiny the application is that you're using. But the bigger context of it all was, we had to be careful about taking shortcuts that lead us down the wrong path. And there's a difference between shortcuts in the sense of you're trying to cheat the process, and shortcuts because you're just looking for ways to be more efficient. And, that's where discernment, wisdom, all those good things come into play.
That's good though. Using that wisdom, that discernment, knowing when and how, and the intentionality behind that. So no, I mean, I think that's key. That's super key. So definitely make sure you all go back. If you're watching this live or on the replay, just go back to that episode because it's really, really good. But today we are talking about how to balance priorities. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really good discussion especially as we head into some of the busier, but also yet, I think this is a season where people are ramping up so that they can slow down. And yeah, I do want to talk through that. So, our reference point for today is one of the chapters from The One Thing by Gary Keller. If you haven't read that book, I would definitely encourage you to, get the Kindle book or go and get the physical copy of it. And really begin to dive deep into that book. We've all read it before, and we've read it again, but Derek brought up a really good point in his reread of that book. So Derek, what's something you want to highlight with The One Thing?
Yeah, and it's, and again, excellent book, as Ashley said, but it was a particular spot just hit me in reading over in chapter 8. So just to kind of dive in here, and I'm just going to reread this one quick excerpt. It says, "Imagine life is a game in which you are juggling 5 balls. The balls are called work, family, health, friends, and integrity. As you're keeping all of them in the air, right? So you're trying to juggle this, get that vision in your mind. And that's really a great illustration of just our lives, right? We're busy, we're trying to keep all the things thinking, right? It says, but one day you finally come to understand that that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it's just going to bounce. But those other four balls, family, health, friends, and integrity, are made of glass. If you drop one of these, it will be irrevocably scuffed, nicked, or perhaps even shattered. I don't know about y'all, but I can't stand to have any of those other four bubbles.
All
I
right.
agree. I agree that
Yeah.
it's a tough thing, but when I saw that the work is a rubber ball, I thought about, guys, how when you leave on your vacation, and
Mm.
then when you come back, that stack of stuff that you left is still there.
Woo. Come on.
And
Yeah.
so it's something that you can pick right back up. But when I think about the other areas, and I can give an example, my friends know that the summer is a busy season for me.
Mhm.
So one of my friends was like calling me every day, and we normally do not talk every day. But she was like calling me, and she was like, I'm trying to make sure that I
Mhm.
get the time in because I know that you're going to be busy and that you're
Right.
on long hours. But I just felt so honored with that, that I was even scheduling time to, call her back. Like if
Yes.
she would call me, I made a note. Let me call her this evening. Or let me call her because I see that she was trying to have some intentional time with me.
That's
And
right.
I want to keep that relationship vibrant. I want to keep that relationship, I want her to be up to date on my life. And so
Mhm.
I think it has to, with the balls that you're juggling, you definitely have to have some intentional focus. And he talks about that in the book about having focused time. And so we have to have some intentional focus. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I think one of the things that often plagues us is this aspect of like task switching, and especially trying to do a lot of things at once. And what we really have to do is, all right, have the focus time. And yes, it's going to come down to building your system, having your schedule in place, but we're taking it a step further and talking about how do we go about intentionally prioritizing what we need to. I know there was a season in my life where it was just I would just have call after call and book the da 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 da, and I know that I would be drained after talking, even though being extroverted and still being able to handle that level. When you start getting to like your superpower tasks and things, you're just drained. You just don't give it the attention that it needs to. So I had to say, actually are going to cut down on the amount of calls that you have. So evaluate what you need to be talking about when. And then two, if you're going to have times where you may have back to backs, then you do not have any superpower tasks on that day. You will need to have lower power tasks. And so I had to start putting in my PM, my project management tool system, which was level of energy. So when I plan for the week, I'm looking at the task and I'm saying, is it going to require 5-star, 3-star, 1-star? And I can go in and plan accordingly. But you got, when I say you, I mean, you got to be able to turn your attention to being intentional about it and knowing. And I love that self-awareness, because that's what it boils down to, that self-awareness. Summer's a busy time, so how do you navigate that aspect of relationships and other aspects of it? Derek, you're back in the building. What do you think?
I mean, that's such a crucial point because what we do is we just run right up against the edge on everything far too often. We don't build in margin. We don't build in buffer time. We don't allow ourselves to just reset and gather ourselves to make sure we can give the appropriate amount of energy in that moment to that thing. And again, leaning back on those five balls, what we tend to do because we're trying to do the quote unquote thing that's going to get us that return on investment, we end up shortchanging family, we end up shortchanging health, we end up shortchanging spiritual growth. There's all of these things that ultimately we told ourselves is the reason we were doing the other thing, right? And that's what's that quote? Don't let your reason or don't let your why become your excuse. Know what
Ooh,
I'm,
yeah,
know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying? And we do that. We say, I'm doing this for my family. You ain't seen your family in 2 weeks.
yeah,
Wow. Wow. Facts.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
You know?
yeah. That's so good. Yeah, I think because you have to, we live in such a world of like taking the action, but you can be doing stuff and then it's not anywhere. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And so
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, I had to get to that point too, and had to really start to, and again, it's an aspect of like you can be over stimulated and over educated on a topic of choice. It's the goal setting, it's this. And I was like looking at things I was like accomplishing, but then I got to the point I was like, well, did I move anything? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
did
Right.
did it actually, can I see a tangible ROI on it? And then
Right.
when I wasn't, I was like, I said, well, let me dismantle what I've been thinking about it and let me find out for myself. Let me go and start to read about ways and techniques. And then again, this aspect of like building what's going to work for you.
Right.
There's such an intentionality behind goal setting that and prioritization that it's not cookie cutter. It's not like what's going to work for Derek's going to work for Ashley. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like,
Right.
yeah,
You're right.
Right. I think about when you setting up your time, and me actually we were just talking about this. Like I like to write, right? But
Mhm.
writing is also a big part of what I do. And so I have to have that focused time to write. But what if I was doing other things like for me, trying to figure out content to post? That is not, you know,
Right.
that is not a move the needle thing on my list, although it's important. I'm not saying it's not important. It is. But it is not the top priority. It is not the thing that I need to get done every day. Writing the content would be, or writing what I'm going to talk about, on my lives would be, but posting would not be. You know what I mean? And so I like the way the book makes you really hone in on what is that one thing. And we talked about, we all read the book. My one thing was writing. My one thing was I had to write
Mm.
every day, in order to move the needle in whatever part of my business. I have to write something. You know what I mean? So, but we have to figure that out. We have to be intentional. We have to give it focused time, because we talked about the quote he said in there was, magic happens in the extreme. While we out here trying to balance things, dip and dive, we're not doing anything. We're just dipping in, and the whole list is still the list. The to-do list is still doing nothing.
Still doing.
So let me ask this then. So I'm really thinking about this. There's terminology that we use, and I think sometimes they can be really buzzwordy, and we use them so much, and we
That's
don't
right.
step back and really think about what they mean.
That's
So
right.
let's talk. I want to talk about that ROI, that return on investment.
Right.
Yes.
Um, have we really sat down and thought about the return? Like, what is it? Do we know exactly what it is that we want to get back? And is this thing actually giving us something that's actually useful? Because the return on investment, is it accolades? Is it just cash? Is it
Hmm.
right? And then there's the reinvestment of the return. The thing you're getting back, is it a one-time shiny and ooh, I did it? Or is it something that's going to advance a bigger agenda? Because when in the overall arch of goal setting, I think that begins to bring another level of intentionality when we start looking at, again, we're playing chess, not checkers. Like this play right here, this move I'm making right here, I might have to get a little out of balance with the family, a little out of balance with the family. And they're on board with that. Um, but I'm gonna be intentional. I need to go hard for a couple weeks over here.
Hmm.
But when I come out of these 2 weeks, we doing this, and this. Right? Are we being that strategic? Or are we just gonna say, they know I love them. They know I'm good, and they'll see me when they see me,
Oh,
right? And then you got all these accolades and trophies, and your LinkedIn profile is slamming, but you came home and half the furniture was gone.
Oh my.
I mean, some
Okay.
U-Haul tracks in the driveway.
Yeah. It feels like a different, another type of live stream. But yeah, no, but I think that's I think what you're saying is so right. Um there is a pressing and there's a level of focus that one has to have. But again, I believe in, especially those that again have families and loved ones that you are doing life with, you have to really paint the picture and the vision, and you have to communicate that. So, it don't have to be no slamming PowerPoint unless you, or a Google slide deck unless you want it to be. But you just have to really make sure that people really understand this is what we're working towards. You're a part of this too, but in terms of someone who's an active player, this is what I'm focusing in on. Like, and so whether it's the next 90 days, whether it is the next 2 weeks, whatever the course is, having tangible goals and explaining is really going to help you build maintain relationships, build them better, and have a sense of really, I think, honesty and vulnerability about what this is all for. Yeah.
I agree, and I think you could do that for your teams also. Like the
Mm,
teams
that's
that I
so good.
have, when I cast the vision, I tell them, listen, I want everybody to operate in their giftings, right? And what you do best. So I want to put you here, right? And you can do this, but I'm gonna tell you, this is where I'm gonna focus here. You know what I mean? And so everybody has an understanding. So when I'm focused on that one thing and I want no distractions, this is why, because I need to push this out so that you can do your part. And I think that when we convey that to people, they understand. Even the kids understand, okay, daddy's working on this, mommy's working on this. And then at the end of the week or the end of whatever the
Mhm,
time period, we're going to do this.
mhm.
They will give you that grace. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
They will give you that grace and not put that pressure on you, to say, oh, no, 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 I want all your time. Now, when you got infants and toddlers, that's different. They don't understand.
Yeah.
But but the young people, they understand that this is that time that I'm focusing, and your teams will understand. This is why I'm not present at this potluck. Okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
because
Come
y'all,
on.
listen, I say things like, y'all want payroll to go through, right? I
Yeah.
signed up for payroll today.
Exactly.
I got to work on payroll today, and so I need some focus so I don't mess up any zeros. Okay,
Right.
all right. But I think they'll understand if you convey it, and so, but you have to, like we said, be intentional, and your priority is your priority at that time, and you will be off balance. I love the way he kept saying that balance is a myth. It's a myth. Work life balance is a myth. You pay attention to the things and you prioritize the things
Yeah.
that you have to get done at that time. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Or
right.
to make it easier for you to be able to focus on something later. It's just a myth. You're not gonna always be balanced. It's not always gonna work out that way, because life just be life. That's what I say. And you you got things that you have to do, and you have to put this thing forward in order to allow for something else to come forward later. You know what I mean? It's like a shifting. I see it more like a shifting.
It
You know what
is.
I mean? I'm shifting in gear here in order for me to be able to shift in gear and focus and give you, because think about this. If I focus on something that I have to produce, let's say for the work, I want to give my friends and family my undivided attention. That means I don't want to be checking my phone. I don't want to
That's
be
right.
I don't want to be thinking about it. So in order to do this, let me complete this so that I can focus here and put you as a priority, because I want to be a priority. I don't know about you. I want to be a priority. So I want to
Come on.
give that priority to somebody else.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. What are your thoughts, Derek?
No, you're dead on. Um, and again, it just comes back to compartmentalizing things. And I say this to people all the time. It, it true balance isn't 50-50, right? And I think they allude to this in the book, and they get that the illustration of the seesaw. When you're truly balanced, seesaw is sitting level. Well, ain't no fun in that. Like the fun is in the extremes, right? The fun's in the extremes, but you can't live in the extreme. It's an ebb and a flow. And I heard somebody say this recently on another call I was on. He said, this guy by the name of Demise Purdue, he said, don't seek balance, seek rhythm. And I
That's
just love it.
good.
Don't seek it's not
Right.
balance is you just
Yeah.
trying to keep everything at the same level, all the time. And that's not realistic. That's it's a myth, and people are burning out on that. No, you got to find a rhythm that allow you to ebb and flow out of the priorities of your life in a way that gives each one of those things its due in its time, but each one, they have to work in concert with each other. They're they're working together, and sometimes you lean a little bit more on this piece than you are on
Mhm.
that piece, and that's just reality.
I think too there is a tension between like the amount of activity that you have and then equating it to your level of busyness, right? Like, and so I think that we're short-sighted in saying like, you got a lot going on or like you seem busy when it's really an aspect of understanding what are people's priorities, right? And so if you don't find that rhythm, what it looks like somebody that is either disorganized, someone that has a life of chaos. That's when things are out of rhythm and out of sync. And so there's a difference, right? There's a difference between there is some things where people are on the go, right? But at the same time, I believe there are some people who are built for that because they are also doing things well, and then there's also an aspect where people are built for certain things. It's not a good or bad, but we just have to dig a little deeper into understanding again values, what season that they are in their life, what this particular season may require of them. So there's just a lot of different factors. Yeah.
Well, that's another thing that Gary Keller addresses in the book, the myth of discipline. We just need discipline. We need discipline. Discipline works in short bursts. And the reason you
Mhm.
need discipline is because it's something that you don't have a strong habit of doing. Things that are a strong habit, you just do. You don't think about them. Why? They're part of your rhythm.
That's
Discipline
right.
comes into play when you're trying to deal with something that's not a part of your normal rhythm. So you need
Right.
focused discipline in a short period of time to establish a habit so that the habit now becomes a part of your normal rhythm. That's the goal. And I really like that part of the book when he talks about that. Again, another myth that more discipline is what you need. No, you need more solid habits. Now you
Wow.
may need to do some things to
Right.
build those habits, right?
Wow.
And again, it all works together because once you got the right habits, that creates rhythm. And everybody says, "Oh man, they really got together. Their life is so balanced." No, they just got good habits. They don't have to work so hard.
Right. Right. We're trying to make it easier. We're trying to make it easy. We're trying to work smarter. Mhm.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that with that aspect of working smarter comes where you have to work okay, well, what's my system, what's the particular routine, planning for the week, making, understanding what the priorities are. I think also helping if you are, whether you are a business owner, you are corporate, whatever the case is, if there are things that you are doing in routine, then now it is, how is it that we can create a process that we can plug and play? Then there could be things like automation that comes into some of those factors. That type of, but that all takes time, because again, you have to acknowledge the fact that this is a part of my life as a routine. Let me create the process, and then if in when in the circumstances, then how do I actually make this into a full-fledged thing that can, kind of take off. But all of that takes intentionality and for you to work on. So it's not a turn the light switch on, turn the light switch off. You got, yeah, you gotta, yeah.
Love it. I
Mhm.
think that the best rhythm you get into is the one that's subconscious.
Ooh.
Mm, that's good. Those some
Mhm.
bars right there.
Because you've established the pattern internally, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
And it comes off to the world as, oh man, they're just so together. No, they don't see all the work you had to put into place to create that. By the time they get to you, you've done all the hard stuff, right?
There you go.
They they coming in on chapter 12 of the book. They missed 1 through 11 when you was in the mud trying to figure this thing out.
The process and the time that it took. We don't know how long chapters 1 through 11 took to happen,
Ooh,
Right.
to
1 through
become.
11. That's so
How long
true.
do it take? How long do it take? But I think people just assume when you finally arrive, because they're just coming in on your landing. You know what I mean? They they never knew about the flight class and how, how long the trip took for you to get there. They're just coming in on the landing, so they're just assuming, that's, you had it all together. But no, it took some time to get stuff together and prioritizing what mattered most in order for you to get there. You know what I mean? Because we could be on a hamster wheel doing stuff, but are we doing the thing that matters most?
We do that a lot, right?
Yeah.
People, you know what people want? People want to jump in and be Coachella Beyonce. They don't want to be Girls Time Beyonce.
back
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 in the
back in the day
back
when
in
you
the
were in those,
beginning,
back when you were in that mall, back when you were in that mall, and all the people were walking by, you're like,
trying to get a gig in front of Dillard's.
okay, that's it. Yeah, yeah. You know,
Right.
yeah,
So
you have to want to you know, be a participant in your process, and also not being afraid of showing what that looks like along the way, telling your story. You know what I'm saying? It's helpful for people to, and it's, well, I think going back to what Tara was saying, it is always, I think, at the advantage of the person outside looking in to say, all right, well, when you land, I'm gonna be right up there at the tarmac. I'm gonna be right up there waiting to pull up, versus, someone that was with you building the plane, and whatnot, and putting the pieces together, and everything. So yeah, there's
Putting
a,
the gas in, and you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? They weren't there for the takeoff. They weren't
Okay,
there for
okay, right,
the
right.
turbulence along the way.
Turbulence along the way,
Right.
all of that, absolutely. But yeah, so I think as we look at this, just in terms of our Nest network formula, um, to nurture, to equip, to stretch, to teach, and all of that. Like, what would you say in terms of our wrap up? Like, how should people be leaning into this, for their own, their own lives?
I definitely would say, number one, equip yourself with knowledge about yourself. You know what I mean? The purpose of us looking into this is to be more self-aware, right? And so evaluate your processes of what you put in as priority. Are the things that you're putting as priority really the things that move the needle for you and for where you want to go? Do you even know what you want as a return on investment? Do you even know? You know what I mean? You putting energy into something. I don't care what it is. It could be the business, it could be a relationship. I don't care. Are you really do you really know what your return on investment is? Have you evaluated, if you are definitely doing the things that you need to do to move it where you want to go? So that's what I would say.
For me, it's that transform. In this case, you got to transform your thinking, right? And
Ooh.
this really dovetails on what Tara was saying, but the way you're thinking about this topic of balance and priorities may be the very problem, right? We're looking at the wrong things. We've set the wrong targets. We need to transform the way we're thinking about this stuff so it's more in line with something that's harmonious to the way our lives should move. I think sometimes we kind of we make the grind too romantic, and that it needs
Wow.
to be this strength, right? We fall in love with, oh, I'm doing this, and man, I was really pushing, and I was up to 3 a.m. and I had 4 cups of coffee. Look here, you about to shatter that health bubble is what you're about to do,
Right.
Yes.
Right.
right?
That's so
Yes.
So you need to transform the way you're thinking about these things so that you create a rhythm and a synergy between the things that you're trying to balance so that they all work together and not against each other.
Yeah, I like that a lot, Derek. And I think, that dovetails into what um Tara's saying, that equipping piece, the transform piece, and then I'm gonna lean into the training piece because that's where you really have to take action and have that, well, I guess we talk about what discipline is, but we but really be intentional about how am I going to train myself in terms of building out either a goal that matters, a system that can really take me from point A to point G, because it doesn't always have to be a direct line to A to Z. It just has to be, I think I just need to go from A to G. So what are the steps that need to take place? How do I train myself? What is it that I need? And I think just, tangibly speaking, that just means you looking at what are your key priorities for this week, taking one of those and seeing what's out of the four or five or six or whichever ones, what are the ones that are truly I need to move the needle on between now and maybe the end of the year, because now we're at our halfway mark. Okay, figuring what that is and saying, all right, well, what are my next steps? You know what I'm saying? And if you're sitting there and you're just like, I don't know if I know all of that, we'll sit with it, sit with this information. Then if you don't know, then say to yourself, all right, whom do I need to help me to sort of pull some of this out? What resource is it that I need to start pulling from, right? And that will help to generate, how to begin to train yourself and to be able to build. So that's what I would say.
That's good.
Good stuff.
Dead
Good
on.
stuff.
That's it. That's it. Well, y'all, we are finished. We're closing out. I'm telling you, these things, they be just coming up quick. And they just sneak up on us. But this is rich information that I know I'll go back to in good pieces of information to really just start building, right? And to really just start to build your capacity for what you are looking to build and to accomplish and do, how you want to lead and grow, and where you're planted right now. So a lot of this is going to take that particular intentionality. So as we wrap up, we'll be back next week. Please be sure to look at our show notes and follow us. Share this with a friend or two. And this is perfect for a good short ride to the grocery store or on a walk of some sort, to share with a friend, and to really digest this information. So we're excited. There's more to come with us. There's just always more. So until next time, you all be safe, and we'll see you all soon.
See you soon.
Bye
Appreciate
bye.
you guys.